Have you ever had everything you thought you needed? A perfect marriage, a beautiful home, and a life that seemed flawless, only for everything to crumble with one shocking discovery. I thought I had it all, until that fateful night when everything changed. It wasn't the lies I suspected. It wasn't even the whispers in the air. It was the babysitter. My name is Sarah, and I thought I had the perfect life. A loving husband, 2 beautiful kids, and a comfortable home in a suburban neighborhood. My husband, Eric, was the love of my life. We'd been together for 7 years, married for 5, and had 2 young children, Lily and Ethan. I had always believed in true love and thought I was living it. I didn't work outside the home. I stayed with the kids, but Eric made enough to give us a good life. We had everything from a nice house to vacations in the summer. But there were moments, tiny cracks in the facade, that I had learned to ignore. Little things like the way Eric would sometimes come home later than usual, or the fact that he seemed more preoccupied than usual after he came back from work. But I convinced myself it was nothing. Until one night, everything changed. Eric was the kind of guy you'd want in your life. He was hardworking, charming, and the perfect father. But as time went on, I began to sense an underlying tension. It wasn't obvious, just little things. I noticed he was more tired, more irritable, and less engaged with me. But I told myself, he's probably just stressed with work. After all, being a father and a husband isn't easy. But the cracks were growing, and I didn't see them until it was too late. One day, Eric and I decided we needed a night out. We hadn't had a date night in months, and with the kids growing older, we figured it was time for a break. We found Emily, a young college student who had recently moved to the area. She came highly recommended by one of my neighbors, and she seemed like a perfect fit for watching the kids. At first, everything seemed normal. Emily was sweet, professional, and got along great with Lily and Ethan. She would chat with me about their day, and I didn't think twice about it. She seemed trustworthy. But there was something about her that didn't sit well with me. She had this energy about her. Too confident, too comfortable. And every time she smiled at Eric, it seemed a little too eager. I tried to ignore it, but deep down, a nagging feeling told me something wasn't right. Eric and I left for our dinner, but all I could think about was Emily. As we drove to the restaurant, I found myself distracted, unable to shake the feeling that something wasn't right. I kept looking at my phone, hoping to hear from the kids or from Eric, but all was quiet. I tried to focus on our night out, but it was hard to ignore the growing anxiety building in my chest. As the evening went on, I could feel Eric distancing himself. His conversations seemed distant. He kept checking his phone, and when I asked about it, he would say it was just work stuff. I wanted to believe him, but something felt off. And then, a text message appeared on my phone, shattering any sense of peace I had left. Let me explain. A few months ago, I had installed a small security camera in the living room. It wasn't for anything sinister. I just wanted to keep an eye on the kids when I was out running errands. But tonight, when I got that text, I had this gut feeling that something was wrong. The text was simple. Check the camera. I excused myself from the table and ran to the restroom, my heart racing as I pulled up the live feed. It was then I saw it. Eric and Emily were sitting together on the couch. At first, it seemed innocent enough. They were laughing, talking. But then I saw the way they looked at each other. It wasn't just casual. The way their eyes met, there was something more, something deeper. And before I knew it, my heart dropped. I couldn't stop watching. They were still on the couch, but now their bodies were closer. Emily's hand grazed Eric's leg. I blinked and rubbed my eyes. Was this really happening? I could feel my stomach knotting as I watched the footage play out. Emily leaned in, laughing at something Eric said. But her laugh sounded different. Intimate, teasing. And then it happened. Eric turned to her and whispered something I couldn't hear. The next thing I knew, their lips were inches apart. Time seemed to slow. My mind screamed at me to stop watching, but I couldn't pull myself away. A kiss, long, deep, and passionate. My husband, my partner, was kissing the babysitter. My body went cold. The world around me seemed to blur as I watched the video over and over. How could this happen? How could Eric do this to me? To us? I couldn't breathe, couldn't think straight. Everything I thought I knew about my marriage was shattered in one moment. I didn't know what to do. Should I go home right now? Should I confront him? I kept replaying the kiss in my mind, unable to move. I felt paralyzed by the weight of the betrayal. When I finally got home, I didn't know what I was going to say. Eric was already there, sitting in the living room, nervously watching TV. I walked in and immediately showed him the footage. His face went white. He tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. I could see it in his eyes. He knew I knew. He stood up, hands shaking. "Sarah, I can explain," he started, but I couldn't hear him. I didn't want to hear him. The truth was out, and it felt like the ground was slipping beneath my feet. He apologized over and over, his voice breaking with regret, but the damage was done. He said it was a mistake, a one-time thing that didn't mean anything. But how could I believe him? My heart was shattered. I wanted to scream, to hit him, but I was numb. I couldn't even cry at first. For hours we sat in silence, the weight of the betrayal hanging heavy in the air. What was I supposed to do now? Could I forgive him? Was it even worth trying? I needed time to think, but I didn't know what to think. Could I forgive him? Could I live with this? What about the kids? What would I tell them? I couldn't believe this was happening. The man I loved, the man I trusted, had betrayed me in the worst possible way. I didn't have an answer that night. But I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't going to be easy. Even now, I don't have the answers. Eric has apologized, and we've gone to counseling, but I can't shake the feeling that something is still off. Trust is gone. But Emily, what was her role in all of this? Could she have been after something more than just a job? And what's next for me and Eric? I don't know. But one thing is clear. This story is far from over. The following day, after the confrontation with Eric, the house is quiet. Too quiet. The kids are at school, and I'm left alone with my thoughts. I didn't sleep much, my mind racing. I tried to focus on the mundane, making coffee, checking the bills, tidying up, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming. Something I wasn't prepared for. It's just afternoon when the doorbell rings. I wasn't expecting anyone. As I walk toward the front door, I feel a sense of dread creeping up my spine. When I open the door, my heart skips a beat. It's Emily. "Hi, Mrs. Daniels. I came by to check on the kids," she says, standing there in a casual outfit. Her voice too sweet, too innocent. I try to hide the shock on my face. But it's impossible. This isn't right. It shouldn't be happening. But there she is, standing in front of me. The woman who betrayed my trust. The woman who kissed my husband. I freeze for a moment, not sure what to say. Part of me wants to slam the door in her face, but I hold myself together. I don't want to make a scene, not just yet. Not with the kids still coming home from school in a couple of hours. But the anger is bubbling under the surface, and I can feel it building with each passing second. "Emily, I know I've been away for a while, but I just wanted to come and apologize for what happened the other night. I really didn't mean to cause any trouble." I hear the words, but they don't feel sincere. I can see the glint in her eyes. The same look she had the night of the kiss. She's not sorry. She's not even close to being sorry. Sarah, thinking, why is she here? Why now? I can barely hold myself together. I force a smile, my teeth clenched tight, and step aside to let her in. "Sarah, come on in." We walk into the living room, and I motion for her to sit down on the couch. I stay standing, unable to sit. I need to keep my distance, even if only physically. There's something about Emily that unsettles me, and I know that no matter what she says, I won't believe her. She's already shown me who she really is. "Emily, I know you must hate me right now. I never meant for anything like this to happen. I was just doing my job, taking care of the kids." Her words are rehearsed. I can tell she's thought about this, planned this moment. Maybe she's trying to manipulate me into letting her off the hook. But I'm not that naive. I've seen her face before, Too many times. Too many smiles. Too many glances at Eric. Can't forget the kiss. Sarah coldly cut the act. Emily, you and I both know what happened that night. And I don't want to hear some half-hearted apology. I want the truth. Emily's face falters for a moment, and she shifts in her seat. For the first time, I see a hint of nervousness in her eyes. She knows she's caught. But instead of backing down, she stands up, defiant. Emily, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't force Eric to do anything. It was mutual, okay? He wanted it. And I just... She stops herself, realizing she said too much. Her face turns pale as she realizes her slip-up. But it's too late. I've heard enough. Sarah, furiously, don't you dare lie to me. You think I don't know what was going on between you two? You think I didn't see it? You kissed my husband. You crossed a line. And now you're standing here pretending like nothing happened. For a moment, Emily is speechless. She looks at me as if searching for some kind of escape. But I'm not giving her one. She made her choice, and now she has to face the consequences. Emily takes a step back, her composure slowly crumbling. I can see her mask slipping, and the confident, flirtatious babysitter is being replaced by someone who is afraid. Afraid of being exposed, afraid of the truth. Emily. Look, I didn't mean for it to get that far, okay? But he's a great guy. And when he started paying more attention to me, well, I started thinking, maybe I deserve that too. She pauses, her eyes darting away from mine, unable to meet my gaze. It's like she's looking for an excuse, a reason to justify her actions. Sarah, shaking her head in disbelief. You deserve my husband. Is that what you're telling me? This whole thing was about you thinking you deserved him. Emily flinches at my words, and I can see the guilt starting to creep into her expression. But instead of apologizing again, she shifts the blame. Emily. It's not just about me. Eric, he was the one who started it. He said you weren't giving him what he needed, that you were too focused on the kids, too distracted with everything else. He told me things, Sarah, personal things, and I listened. I was just trying to help him. I'm stunned by her words, and a pit forms in my stomach. So it wasn't just a random mistake. She was targeting Eric, waiting for him to crack. I can't believe what I'm hearing. I trusted her with my kids. And now she's trying to justify betraying me. Sarah, with a bitter laugh. So you're saying you were helping him? By betraying me? Emily, her voice softening. I never meant to hurt you. Swear. But Eric, he was so distant, and I thought, maybe if I could give him something he wanted, it would make everything better. The silence between us is deafening. Emily's words hang in the air, and I can't process them fast enough. My emotions are a tangled mess. Betrayal, anger, confusion. How could Eric say something like that? How could he talk about me like I was the one who was neglecting him? I take a step forward, my eyes narrowing, my voice low but firm. Sarah. You're not the victim here, Emily. You don't get to come in here and pretend like this is all just a misunderstanding. You knew exactly what you were doing. Emily's face is now a mixture of guilt and frustration. She doesn't want to admit the truth, but I can see it in her eyes. She's been caught and there's no way out. Emily, I didn't mean to ruin your life. I didn't know it would go this far. But Eric, he's a good man. He's just... He needed someone. I shake my head, fighting back tears. I can't stand hearing her talk about him like this. Like she's the one who's trying to fix him. The one who sees him for what he really is. He's not hers. And I'm not going to let her take him away from me. The weight of everything is crushing me. Can't breathe. I feel like I'm suffocating under the weight of betrayal. But then, something clicks inside of me. I can't let this woman hold any more power over me. I won't let Emily define my marriage. I stand up straighter, my resolve hardening. I need to take control of this situation. I need to set the boundaries now, before things spiral any further. Sarah, I want you to leave. Don't come back here. Ever again. Emily looks stunned, and for a moment she hesitates. Then she nods slowly, her face showing a mixture of guilt and frustration. She doesn't argue. She doesn't apologize again. She just walks out of the door, leaving me standing there, breathless, heart racing. As I close the door behind her, I feel a strange sense of relief. It's not over, I know that. But at least I'm starting to take back control of my life. The truth is out. Now I need to figure out what happens next. The door closes behind Emily, and the house feels eerily silent. My heart is still racing, and I'm not sure if it's from the anger, the fear, or the relief that's slowly washing over me. I stand in the foyer, staring at the spot where Emily stood just moments ago, as if her presence is still lingering in the air. My mind races. What now? I glance toward the kitchen, where Eric is sitting at the table, looking down at his hands. He hasn't said much since Emily left, and I know he's waiting for me to speak. The question is, what do I say? What do I even feel right now? I want to scream at him, but I also want to collapse and cry in his arms, the same arms that betrayed me. I can't make sense of it all. I take a deep breath and walk toward the kitchen, my steps slow but determined. As I approach, Eric looks up at me, his face etched with regret. He opens his mouth as if to speak, but I raise my hand to stop him. I'm not ready to hear any more apologies. Not yet. Sarah, I just saw her leave. Emily, do you know what she said to me? Do you know what she admitted? Eric looks pained, but he doesn't speak. He can't. The guilt is written all over his face. And that's when I realize, I don't need his words anymore. I already know what happened. I know the truth. It's the only thing that matters now. Sarah, coldly, you betrayed me, Eric. You betrayed my trust in the worst possible way. And for what? A moment of weakness? Or was it something more? Was I just too much of a wife for you to handle? The words come out sharper than I intended, and I see the hurt flash across Eric's face. But the damage has already been done. He has no defense. He has no excuse. And I don't want to hear it. Eric stands up from the table, his hands trembling slightly. He takes a step toward me, his voice shaking with desperation. Eric, Sarah, please, I don't know what I was thinking. I never meant for any of this to happen. You're my world, and I just lost sight of that. I was stupid. I was weak. But it wasn't about you. It was about me. It's my fault. And I'm sorry. His apology hangs in the air, but it feels hollow. I don't know if I can forgive him. I don't know if I should. The trust between us has been shattered, and I don't know if it can ever be repaired. There's a part of me that wants to believe him, that wants to forgive him for the sake of our family. But there's another part of me that feels like I've been living a lie for too long. I stand there, motionless, watching him. The anger is still there, but there's also a deep sadness. A sadness that weighs heavy on my heart. I think of everything we've been through, everything we've built, and wonder if it's enough to justify moving forward. But then I remember Emily. The way she looked at me, the way she tried to justify what happened. I can't let that go. I can't let her or anyone steal my dignity, my peace. I finally speak, my voice steady, but filled with finality. Sarah, I need space, Eric. I need time to think about what's next. I don't know if I can ever forgive you for what you did. And I don't know if I want to stay in this marriage anymore. The trust we had, it's gone. And right now, I need to figure out if I can rebuild it, if I even want to. I watch his face crumble, his eyes filled with regret and pain. But it's too late. I've made up my mind. The truth is out there. And it's not just Emily who needs to answer for her actions. It's Eric, too. I need time. Time away from him, time away from the lies. Eric, quietly pleading, Sarah, please don't leave me. I'll do anything. I swear to you, I'll do anything to make this right. I shake my head slowly, turning away from him. I walk toward the front door without looking back. My heart is breaking, but I know this is what I need. I need to take control of my life, to decide what comes next. I need to find myself again, without the shadow of betrayal hanging over me. As I step outside into the cold, I close the door softly behind me. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if Eric and I can ever recover from this. But I know one thing. I will never let this define me. I will rise above it. Have to. For me. For my children. What do you think? Should I give Eric another chance? Or is it time to move on? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on my journey. The future is uncertain, but one thing is for sure. It's time for me to take control of my own story.